Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one drink that we rule them all. Hope you'd remember your thoughts. Get your Uru fingers and your Middle guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword plus one. Usually when still it will get you to come. To the pit tank. To the pit tank. The Rocky Mountain pit tank.
Hi, I'm Troy,
Hi, I'm Alex.
and this is Rocky Mountain Geek Tank. And we didn't actually prep anything for you to say my part of it. Now that I'm saying Guy's part of it,
Oh no.
I know the unprepped size podcast. There we go. Yeah, I don't even remember how I started that sized podcast thing, but I'll have to go back and see when I started doing that because I know it was relatively soon, if like not right at the very first show. And I decided it was always going to be something different, and it would always be something related to the topic. And that was back when we planned, actually, like months. I know, months ahead. We had sessions where we'd sit down and write out like a list. Hey, Bob,
What up,
good to
Sheets?
see you. But we'd actually like plan multiple episodes out in that. But that's, of course, we had Chelsea there, and she's way more put together than Guy and I put together.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, those days are gone. So no Guy tonight. He is watching a special original cut of Empire Strikes Back with some friends or acquaintances. I don't know how close they are.
Right.
I know one of them is one of our sponsors. So
They're close enough that he's not that he's like getting courting the wrath of Star Trek fandom by watching Star Wars.
That's right. They're gonna withdraw his Star Trek fan card, take away his pips off of his collar. Hey there, Brent. So, any case, news for the past today and then on Thursday and Friday of last week, I was helping out at my kids' school because one of the teachers who's into Dungeons and Dragons decided she was going to work in teaching the kids Dungeons and Dragons as part of one of the classes for the day, one of the hour blocks that they have. Been just under the umbrella of teaching the math and the reading and the socializing and just all of the educational parts of it. Really, she just wants to play D&D as a teacher, which I get that. But when I heard she was doing that, I'm like, hey, I play some. Would you like my help? And she really wanted a lot of help. So my suggestion to her was to find some kids that wanted to volunteer to learn how to DM, to Dungeon Master. And I would help teach those kids, and that would ease the burden on her. Since she has 16 students and can divide them up into 4 groups of 4 with 1 DM per group. Isn't reaching? Is it? Why is my brain? Oh, teaching. Okay, sorry. I should have figured that out. Yeah, teaching D&D. D&D's cooperative storytelling. I guess it's teaching lessons depending on what story you tell. Some people, no matter how often you teach, they'll never remember the equation for figuring out your spell DC. It's like 3 numbers, right? 8 plus your whatever your stat is, and then I don't think your proficiency bonus even adds to that, does it?
No, it's your proficiency bonus.
Okay, that's the 3rd number. So it's just those 3 numbers.
Or at least that's your attack.
It's also the DC when someone's trying to save, I think.
Right, yeah.
But in any case, it's been interesting teaching these 3 kids because I've got, I want to say she's like 12 or 13, possibly a little younger girl, and then 2 boys who are probably right around 13 or 14. One of them clearly has parents that play D&D because they have a little bit of an idea of what's happening. They were much easier to teach. Whereas the girl's like, I'm going to have them find cats and dogs in the goblin lair so they can all have pets. And I'm like, I like your creativity with it, but the teacher gave me this 3-page thing and you're supposed to follow this story. just for starters. And then once you get the hang of it, add all the pets you want. But yeah, it's been interesting because I've never tried to teach somebody how to be a dungeon master before. Oh yeah, Thaco Bell. I saw that meme.
I
Yep,
did not.
it's just they redid the word taco as Thaco.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it should be interesting. I'm going to tomorrow they start, and I'm going to be sort of shadowing one of them. If they need help, they can tag out, kind of thing, and then we'll see how it goes. I get the feeling that eventually there'll be maybe 4 to 6 kids in the class that actually really enjoy it, and they might continue on, and then the class will move on to something else. But, but that's fun.
Cool.
And of course, I got your guys' game coming up this Saturday.
Oh yeah. We
Yeah.
missed session because we had people who couldn't make it.
Yeah,
And you were all like, I need everybody there for
yeah.
reasons.
It's like if you're an actor and you're in this show, you need and you want to be here for this season, you need to be here for the opening episode.
Oh no. Oh, this isn't the season closer? It's the season opener?
I feel like it's an opener.
Okay.
I feel like the closer was you guys. Actually, I feel like the opener would have been the closer would have been you guys losing the ship.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so it would have been like a soft open because it didn't start with combat.
Right, right.
So this
We
would
had
be
some
like,
episodes. We had some talking,
yep.
some more talking with different people. Yeah.
Wait a minute. The no, the fight with Shar and Elastrae was after the ship was lost, right?
Yes.
That was the season ender.
Oh, okay.
Because yeah, the losing the ship was the cliffhanger where people were expecting something big like that to happen at the season ender, and then the big thing happened at the actual season ender.
Ah, okay. Cool.
When the Shar hit the fan.
Mm-hmm.
I did that with the flashback thing. Brent's saying it's best to start with the end of the story and then flashback to how you got there. I did that with our steampunk game,
Mm-hmm.
where you all woke up in an infirmary with various wounds,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole game was like figuring out how you got those wounds to end up in the infirmary. So that took a lot of work on everybody's part, and I feel like it worked really well.
Mm-hmm. It was cool.
So you said you had a friend who was into D&D, and you were talking to them about stuff, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just one of my coworkers. It turns out that she is in a D&D group, and they've got some new people in it. So we're kind of talking about our characters, and their campaign is just starting. So she had some high hopes for them, even though there's still some new people. Hopefully they get into it and do some fun stuff. But she says that they're very much on the we're new players. We can do anything. I'm gonna collect scrotums as my trophies. What about against beings that don't have scrotums? Don't think ahead. And of course, talking about our game a little bit, and the characters we were playing was pretty funny.
So they're just starting. I'm guessing they're starting at level 1.
Yeah, they're starting pretty low.
It's going to be hard getting some scrotums at level 1.
Right.
That's what I was trying to. The big thing for these GMs, I was trying to tell them is like, you be careful because you could party wipe everybody since they're all level 1.
Right.
So you want to keep it like interesting and on the edge of the seat and thrilling, but you don't want people to just feel like it's a hopeless situation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's interesting. Is she running the game or is she playing in the game?
She's a player.
Okay.
Yeah. And she says that she was saying a few things like so she's neutral. Her character is neutral good and trying to like herd these chaotic cats. But she did say that she enjoyed Baldur's Gate 3 and so does her brother, and then and so some of the other people have also played Baldur's Gate 3, and it's kind of like their on-ramp onto D&D.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how close it I don't know how good of a setup it does as a lead into D&D, but it's probably I heard great things about the game, so I'm guessing it's pretty close to what it's like to play the game at
Hmm.
tabletop.
Yeah, Ginny D actually has a video where she talks about if you love if you enjoyed or love Baldur's Gate 3 and getting to D&D, here's what you need to know.
Nice.
You know, here's the ways that it is different. That may be a shock to you. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool vid.
Yeah, her and Dale Kingsmill, excellent
Oh, they're
YouTubers.
great. Great content. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at cheap dice sets because I thought it'd be kind of cool to buy these kids their own dice sets,
Yeah.
and I found, of all things, the online GameStop store had dice sets marked down on clearance to 48 cents a set of 7.
Oh, wow.
I know. And I was able to load my cart with, they had 3 different colors at that price. So I loaded my cart with 30 of them.
Uh-huh.
And then the shipping was like almost as much as it was to buy the dice.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like you're going to buy like $20 worth of dice and pay like $17.99 in
Yeah,
shipping.
it was $15 worth of dice and $10 in shipping. So it comes out to almost $1 a set of dice, which is still cheaper than anywhere I could find here. The cheapest I've ever found is Dollar Tree actually had sets of dice at one time.
Oh, wow.
And even though they're still called the Dollar Tree, they're actually like $1.29 tree or something.
Yeah, $1.25 tree
Yeah,
now
something
or
like that.
something. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's still even cheaper than that.
Cool.
So, and then, but yeah, I want to help encourage people at the young age to get into D&D and enjoy it as opposed to just only video games.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
So our buddy Bob says he's going to be starting up the Curse of Strahd on Saturday.
Ooh, nice.
Oh yeah, and the question is, from what I hear of it, just doing the forest could kill an entire party before they
Oh,
even
yeah.
get to Barovia.
Yeah, Barovia, yeah.
Barov-
Yeah, we used to joke that like, it's a second level Ravenloft adventure. It's get to town. It's like that's it. Yeah. Good stuff. I've not actually played Curse of Strahd in a long time. And I think the last time I played Curse of Strahd, I was playing, I think I told you just recently, like I was playing a dwarven rogue whose entire
right.
like worldview was that everything's a puzzle and they wanted to challenge themselves with the hardest, most difficult, most dangerous puzzles around. So he shows up in like, the little village and he's like, wow, that castle looks really scary. What's going on with that? I mean, like just pumping people for information on, is it really scary? Is it just sort of run of the mill or is it like awesome?
Or is it a lie just to keep people away from it?
Right. So, yeah, it's cool.
Oh, stupid feed freezing up when Bob tries to type.
Nope.
I just send you a link and get you on here. I was thinking back because really up until this game, the biggest D&D experience I had, and it was the biggest by far, was the game that yourself and I was in that Mikey was running.
Yeah.
And
right.
That was 3.5, I believe.
That was.
Before that, I barely scraped the surface of the D&D world. I remembered when I was in college, ran into a couple of guys who found out I was into role playing and invited me to their game, and they were just way too into the historical crossover of like, there wasn't paper in this time, they had to write on skins, the skin of sheep and that, and I was like, this isn't why I'm here. And that, but it's just, I never had like a really awesome D&D type experience. There was a D&D club in college. I played in a couple of games in that, but one of the players actually was a kleptomaniac and stole stupid stuff. Like, I remembered a pin of mine went missing, and there was nothing like super special about the pin, but it was distinctively my pin. And I found it in their stuff at one point, and just little clues. I'm like, I'm just going to divorce myself from this group and not be around it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this D&D's definitely been interesting. and five. Luckily, I missed all of 4, which I heard a lot of people complain about 4th edition.
Hmm.
Um, but 5th edition so far is for the past couple of years. I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, so have I. Been a lot of fun. I'm gonna be sad when we stop playing these characters.
But it might be one of the first characters that came to a full circle end or something.
Huh?
No. Nazir had a great ending.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The Earth Dawn game was really good and great ending.
But yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. My son is quickly figuring out his big complaint about it was my big complaint, which of course I homebrewed, and that is everything's an archetype, and to break outside of that archetype is to give up bonuses and to not min max. And I'm like, well, that's just the reason they template everything in Dungeons and Dragons is to make it simple for people who aren't super creative and want to make a dwarf investigator.
Mm-hmm.
When really an elf investigator with the high IQ would be the better choice, type thing.
Yeah.
So you just have to have the right group. And it's been something I've been telling these kids too. I'm like, having the wrong person in your group or the wrong group is going to make the D&D seem really bad. Don't give up on the game. Just switch players.
Right. Yeah, and that whole thought of like, if you have to, like, it's make sure that player expectations are working with the game too. Like you're talking about creativity versus min maxing.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, yes, if the players make suboptimal choices for their characters, then by the same token, like, unless you're trying to GM a punishing game, the GM should be like, no, it's cool. We'll just adjust things,
Mhm.
make things work. That's what I was doing with my Earth Dawn game a little bit. Like I told everybody in the game that this is the first of many Earth Dawn campaigns I have in mind. And I'm like, in this one, play whatever you want. Like, I mean, within reason, but play whatever you want, make whatever choices you want to, and go for it. Just to learn about the world, learn about my GMing style, learn about your play style, and get to the point where what you want to do is like if you don't have a thief adept in your party, it is my job to make sure that you can still overcome challenges.
Mhm.
Not necessarily, like, oh well, you don't have a thief adept, so you can't, go through the 3 traps and you die. It's like that's just dumb. But I did tell them also that like the other campaigns I have in mind, I have like a couple, maybe 2 or 3 others past that, where I'm like, I will be pretty stringent on what is allowed, and one of them would be like the recreation of the orcish nation of Carafad. Well, everyone's going to be playing an orc. Everyone's going to be everyone's going to have some method of riding animals, horses or the other or whatever, the thunder beasts and stuff that are endemic to Earth Dawn. It's like you will need to be able to ride. I don't care if you're an archer adept, you need to have the skill to ride. It's like these are things that you will need to have.
What was that idea? Was it a fairy with Beast Rider or?
Oh yeah, somebody was thinking like it'd be really cool to play like a windling at some point that was like who was like a cavalryman or a cavalry adept and like be able to ride like a war dog or something. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Do it. I'm here for it. But then I had like other ideas for other campaigns too. I'm like, okay, well, it's like we've played a few games where it's like basically the Therans are the bad guys. Well, now we're going to play a whole campaign where you're the Therans.
Mm-hmm.
You are adepts in the service of the Great Isle, trying to reclaim all of your holdings after the Scourge. And to get people into moral conundrums there and stuff. And yeah, I've got sinister plans.
Yeah, I can't remember how many sessions we got into the Earth Dawn game that I was trying to do. I feel like it was only a few. And really I had nothing more than just the setup. With the setup being it starts with everyone in the care because they were born there during the Scourge, and as far as they know, the Scourge is still going.
Yeah.
And it turned out that the care was the horror.
Yeah,
and
like
they're
it had been breached,
yeah,
but in such a way that the horror was manipulating and illusioning and stuff. Yeah, no, I remember that. It was a lot of fun.
yeah. The
And
setup was great, but I had nothing planned past that, and it sort of fell apart. But it was fun while it lasted.
yeah, it was only a couple sessions. And like, because I don't remember doing much adventuring at all once we left.
Yeah, I think that's where we stopped.
Yeah, and
Went
because I
back
was like,
to
because I think it was my character was like, can we leave and then come back when we are prepared to deal with this stuff? It's like no one's like, oh,
uh,
yeah,
cool.
that's a good time.
So we're about 9 minutes away from our midway break, where we plug our sponsors. Can you, off the top of your head, recall, if not the worst, one of the worst games you've been in?
Oh, oh my.
You don't have to name names
I'm like, hmm.
for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, maybe just block them out. I mean,
Well, I'll start then. I was
yeah.
as a GM, I was running a classic adventure that my brother had ran 100 times, of basically not quite Mission Impossible level guys, but your not so scrupulous mercenary um, type criminals who were hired by an official organization to go do a thing that they didn't want to do officially, and they quickly discover vampires are real and vampires are doing bad things, and one of their main headquarters is in this nightclub. The players I was running, well, first of all, when we were making characters, and I told everybody you're making a human. They can in modern day, and they can be a badass, just not like, over the top movie level badass. And one player's like, I want to play the consciousness of a person trapped inside of a magic 8 ball. And I'm like, that's not what we're doing. I, I need you to make a regular old person. Um, but so anyway, eventually we have the game. One person decides to be an explosive expert. The team sneaks in because the nightclub's doing nightclub stuff, and they're trying to confirm it's vampires. When all the stuff starts going down, one of the players decides that they want to throw an entire satchel charge into the club and
Oh my.
detonate it while the rest of the players are in there. And it threw me for such a loop. I didn't know. My brain didn't just override and say, "Fine, let him kill everybody," and let it just be a hard lesson for this player. And they wouldn't let me talk him out of it. So I think I just ended up fudging how much damage it really did, so I didn't kill everybody. But that was an unpleasant experience,
Right.
mainly because I felt bad for not having an answer for the
Right.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. Gosh, I mean, I don't think I've had any games in my adulthood that were bad. Well, actually, I mean, okay. Actually, probably the worst game I've played in a while, and it was just it was not a good fit for me and the rest of the group. It was just like, it like the group was really killy, and
Murder hobos.
I was playing a character that was not really killy, and it got to the point like my character was trying to like convince other people, no, these people are fucking crazy. You should just agree and give them what they want because they'll fucking kill you. So there was that. That's like that's probably the worst game. Like I said, it's probably just a mismatch of like what they wanted from the game, what I wanted from the game, and that's fine. Beyond that, I mean, like as a teenager and stuff, you're like, let's play, you know, let's play. What was it? Let's play BattleTech. Let's play Mech Warrior, and it's like having played Battle, like, let's play some Mech Warrior, and it just became like basically just more BattleTech, and I'm like,
where's the role playing part?
Yeah, I kind of want to play a dude like why is my character in the giant mecha doing things, not just min maxing my giant mecha,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I mean that's a different game.
Yep.
Um,
How about the worst decision you've seen a player make in a game as a character?
Oh, oh my gosh. Worst decision I've seen.
You know, or yourself if you made one.
Yeah, or a worst decision I've made. I mean, ooh. I'm trying to think of stuff that wasn't like storyline related. But like, I don't know. My worst role playing decision was probably like, and it kind of it still works, but I wish that I was in a better headspace to play Nazir with more feelings. And like, so it's like he was scared of that part of himself, like the romantic stuff, and being close to people that way, in some ways. Yeah, I would like if I had to do it all over again, or like
give him a little bit more three-dimensional.
yeah, or like or especially like when he was in earlier in the campaign, like and like have that be something that he grows out of, or he grows towards something else. Yeah, so if we do the director's cut or whatever. But yeah, and then it's like we do have in like in our game right now, like some of the characters just like I don't know. On the one hand, it's sort of like, let's make these decisions. Let's do this right now. And I'm like, no, we're not. Like I maybe it's just me justifying things, but it's like I don't think we should tell people about our stuff right now. And now, of course, we have, because now we're negotiating. My character believes that we're doing it more from a position of strength. Like, oh yeah, you had all this before, and now you don't, and we still have, and we're all that in a bag of chips.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want to fuck around and find out, you can. Where before it could have been just like, and now it's more like, what you want to lose coming at us. Because I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be heavy.
Yep.
But yeah, all sorts of characters have made. I mean, and even some of those bad decisions are in character.
Right.
Like
they in character makes sense
for the character. It's nothing like, nobody like, I think I'm going to multi-class into, fighter, but you're a wizard. Shut up. It's like nothing like that, or
the fighting wizards,
or let's just like let's just make this decision just for the lulls.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
For a long time. Yeah, I guess one of the worst decisions I saw a party make was in the Mikey game that we played together, where people followed my character because my character had a goal, right. And that goal was insane. My character's goal was kill all the dark elves. And it was like, oh, he's got something he wants to do. Let's follow him. I'm like, y'all are crazy. Y'all are dumb. My character's a nut job. So that was one. The warrior wants to be a bard. I mean, yeah, it's like weird how, like, as Troy was saying, like D&D doesn't really kind of point itself to being able to do stuff like that easily. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to say worst thing I did as a player, and this was just in hindsight, I'm going to chalk it up to just immaturity. Yeah. Is in Earthon, when the big thing happened to us, it made me mad as a player when we lost all our stuff. And
yeah,
I feel in hindsight that I probably overreacted and was too emotional and upset about it.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of that probably came from just not having as much faith as I should have had in the GM.
Right.
And again, immaturity. And I know I'm not the only one who felt raw about it. And so there's probably that mob mentality feeding into it. But when I'm looking back on it, it's like it was a game and I was taking it way more to heart than a game. And it felt like the loss was too hard. It hurt too much.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I hope, and I feel like I have apologized to our GM about that in his past, and they're like, I was probably a dick. I'm sorry about that.
Right.
But you know who's not a dick?
Oh.
Our sponsors. I'm sure they appreciate me doing it that way, right?
Nice segue.
Thanks. Our sponsors, Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, and the Massage Wizard, and
Your
your
mom.
mom. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
well then, so the Massage Wizard is who Guy is hanging out with, watching Star Wars. Which
Hmm.
I don't know if massages are happening at Star Wars or not.
I want to be there. There's massages happening. I'm a talented amateur. I I I I I recip massages.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember that. That was a rough scene.
Yeah, for those of you that have no idea what we're talking about, which probably most of you except for Bob, um, actually Bob wasn't part of the group at that point, and I think yeah, but we had gotten mid-level power range, I guess.
Yeah,
We're pretty
getting there.
competent, and a fair amount of our magic items and abilities were just yoinked from us from the big bad or from the big bad's events that have happened, and we had to start at a much lower level to build back up.
Hmm.
And of course, not thinking about it from a storytelling perspective, it was the part of the hero's journey where you face a great loss
Mhm.
and then have to make a comeback. But I think my brain was looking at it as a video game, and like someone just deleted my save and I got to start over. Damn it!
Ah. Yeah, that was a rough scene. It was a rough. I mean, it was rough story wise too. Like our characters were betrayed by a very close NPC to us, and an NPC that we had saved their lives on at least a couple occasions. I remember one time where Nazir like went in alone, like, oh my gosh, he's left behind. You keep going, I'll get him, type of stuff. And yeah, it was rough. It's cool, man. Like I said, we're not sure if you were there
Yeah, I
during
don't
that.
think you were.
Yeah, because you were. I mean, you had a ton going on in your life,
Mhm.
and you had to step away a few times. And hey, it's cool.
That's how it goes. Then the game went on for years.
Yep.
Uh,
So
yeah.
yeah, no, and it was a point that I think that because of part of that reaction, like there was this like after that, we were doing stuff in the game and everything. Like actually, we had a really dark set of sessions, a set of adventures, and like at the end of like one of them, Dan said, "Okay, that's it. That's as dark as this gets. What you've just been through.
Mhm.
You know, and now it is now like we're on the hero's journey. Now we're on that upswing again, and you're big damn heroes. Let's do it." Basically, and yeah, it's good.
Yep. Gosh. What other D&D stuff?
Yeah,
But yeah, it's
yeah.
the book that the teacher had was it was like 5 really short adventures, and it was built around the premise that your normal GM can't make it to the session, but you guys want to play anyway.
Hmm.
And so they were just one-offs,
Hmm.
and they were set up for someone who doesn't run a game to quickly learn how to run a game,
Okay.
which is probably a good place to start when you're just learning how to play.
Yeah.
And since they're one-offs, it gives the kids a chance to play a bit and go, I don't want to be a dwarf thief.
Right.
The vast majority of the kids, apparently, it's like, I get to be a half dragon person. I want to be a dragonborn
Sure.
because I get to be a dragon.
Hmm.
It's like, well, there you go. That's part of role playing, is being something you can't be in real life that you want to be.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. That was good times. Yeah. Yeah. Let the kids play around a little bit.
Yeah. And I think they'll be able to figure out too, if they're watching close enough, which people to move from which group to which group, and go, okay, these are clearly the people who want to just kill everything,
Mm-hmm.
and they have one person who's all about storytelling. Let's get them out of that group and
Mm-hmm.
bring in another murder hobo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool if they're kind of watching each other that closely, or the teacher, or they take surveys. What's your favorite part of D&D? And it's
Mhm.
the putting the smack on goblins. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, when Friday, when she asked if I thought the GMs were ready, and I'm like, well, if we can go one more day, I'd like to give them one more day.
Hmm.
And they really didn't do a lot today. I was like, let's read over the thing again, and they're kids, so they weren't interested in that. But I gave them each their own map and dry erase markers. I'm like, you all have the exact same plot. Draw your own map for what you want for it. You just need a road, and you need an upside down wagon where the goblins have set up their home, and you
Hmm.
have so draw that. And I told the teacher, I'm like, yeah, they're as ready as they want to be. That's the best answer I can give you on that.
Hmm.
Um, so it should be interesting to see how it goes. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I remember what it was. So on Friday, I said, since I need another day and you have players who are ready to play, my advice is actually, since you have them broken into groups, have each group have a storytelling session with each other and decide how they all met and became friends, because you want to get that part out of the way. Since they're all brand new, you don't want them doing the "I don't know you, I don't trust you, I'm not going on this adventure with you.
Right.
I'm stealing all your gold because I'm a thief." It's like, no, no, no. Let's get that out of the way. Decide right now why you're not stealing their gold.
Right. Why are you
Uh,
adventuring together?
I looked at one of my son's sheet because he's in there, and in the little bits where it has the character description, he'd written in there, "I lie about everything," and I said, "That's not gonna be great for your party if you lie about everything. Maybe you should be selective about what you lie about." See, are there goblins over there? No, it's clear. Go on ahead. You got me killed. Why lie about everything? It's in my character. It's like, don't be that player.
Right. Yeah. Or if you are that player and do that stuff too much, suddenly you don't everyone wants to play with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why did their characters kill my character? Because your character was a bad person and they didn't like you.
Your character led them into an ambush. They barely survived. And
Yeah.
as soon as they could, they got rid of the person who led them into the ambush.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who did it on purpose?
Yes. For laughs.
It's one thing for, okay, make some perception rolls. Oh, nope. Okay, none of you see anything out of the ordinary. And then you get arrowed
Yeah.
to, hey, you came back safe. Are there the goblins there? No.
uh, yeah. So I was
Yeah.
just remembering. I don't remember how many sessions. Whoops, we went, but I have a one-shot game that I like to do when I'm playing with new players, just to kind of get a feel of what kind of player they are. And I ran you through that. It was the Play as What You Want game.
Oh, yeah. Huh?
And I think you played Fighter, if I'm remembering
One of
correctly.
the games I totally played Fighter from the 8-bit theater.
Yep.
So for those of you who don't know, an old web comic that's you can probably still find, and
Yep.
it is it's a sprite comic based off of the original Final Fantasy game, the 8-bit version, and it starts off with Fighter and Black Mage, and Black Mage has got like one spell, which gives the nuke spell, and Fighter is a big dumb fighter, and it was hilarious to play as Fighter. I enjoyed myself so much playing a low IQ character.
Uh,
So good.
it was fun coming up with the power that the longer someone talks to him, their IQ starts to drain because of how dumb the conversation is.
Yeah.
And if you don't get out of it, you ultimately end up just doing the whole "Welcome to Cormyria. I like swords."
Yep. Yeah, like I remember a couple of times it's like, and of course as a non below average intelligence player, knowing when to like lean in, like like how to lean into it, and also like how to make things happen. And I remember one time on the whole I'm a dumb player, I'm a dumb character. It's like well, I'm just gonna pitch my tent right here. But there's like all sorts of like monsters and like some like kind of doom patrol knights running around. What are you gonna do? It's like no one ever bothers me in my tent. We'll be fine. And everyone's like, let's go to that inn over there. That seems like you have to walk another hour or so, but that's a better idea. I'm like, okay, go along with it. But then another time, like the party was like, okay, the opposing party has gotten into the dungeon and we're gonna wait here and kill them. And I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna work. the dungeons where I come from, there's always another way out. Like you get through the entire dungeon and then you just do a thing and you're out of it somewhere. It's like close by, but somewhere else. We don't never have to walk all the way back through it. That's dumb. And everyone's like,
It was the smart thing because when you get to the end of the dungeon, you win the prize, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the whole idea is based off of the whole concept of like trading places. Which before that, what was it, My Fair Lady? The whole concept of people making a bet.
Right.
And so it's these two super powerful wizards that have made a bet that they could make the better team to go do the thing. And so it's all just one big bet, and that's why you get all these characters from different universes, as long as they're all roughly the same power level. And I made it in GURPS, and I think we had Mikey as a space marine, my friend Sonny as Captain Tuna, the guy. Yeah. He's the throwaway superhero character. And I think at one point, Lauren played Dale Cooper. I feel like. At least
I don't think it was in that game though. That was a different play as you're playing.
I think it was. I think I ran 2 different play as yourself games, and that
she totally played Agent Dale Cooper.
Yeah. But it's neat because it lets players play someone they might never get to play, and it's such a simple mission that there's not a lot that you have to put together other than an opposing team of roughly equal power, and get to see how players interact together.
Mm-hmm.
Armoire of Invulnerability.
That's one of the first jokes from 8-Bit Theater. That they're looking for the they thought they were looking for the armor of invulnerability. It's the armoire of invulnerability.
Back in middle school when Nick was in middle school, we'd stop at Enchanted Ground since we had like an hour between me dropping off his younger brothers at elementary school and him going to middle school. That's right, he's in middle school. And we'd stop there, and you were loaning me 8-Bit Theater, and we'd sit there in the morning and read through some of it before school. And that was nice. a fun bonding experience.
There's not. I don't have any of those books. You're thinking maybe Order of the Stick?
I'm thinking of Order of the Stick.
Yeah.
That's why my brain's crossing over. A similar thing, but not.
Yes. So. Order of the Stick is still ongoing. It is still awesome. Super good. And in fact, like they had a really great moment where they get into a fight with a dragon. This is one of the most emotional episodes, and it's like the dragon has now been freed from its bonds, and it's like it has a mad hate for one of the people that's with the party, not in the party, but like with the party, and it's like starts like it's like it's going to annihilate this other person, this non-party member. And they try to reason with it. No, we're trying to, and it's like, and it goes insufficiently servile. If you survive, you may make another attempt. It's like, yeah, nice.
Yes, Order of the Stick and 8-Bit Theater, definitely fun.
Yeah, 8-Bit Theater has finished. For those that are interested in that kind of thing. And then Order of the Stick is still ongoing, but is in the, I don't want to say final chapters, but it is coming to the end of the story. It is definitely much closer to the end than it is to the beginning. A tangent, the guy who wrote 8-Bit Theater also wrote like, what was it? Like Atomic Robo? And I read some of that, but I didn't find it, I didn't like it as much. But he did a comic that he only did, I don't know, I want to say just a couple dozen issues of, or pages of, and it's named How I Killed Your Master. And the premise is that you see like this young buff kung fu guy in front of like leading a bunch of other kung fu soldiers into like this inn or something, and they ran and they trashed the place, and there's this old guy like drinking some tea, and he's just like, I kill you for da-da-da. And he's like, really, you want to just try and kill me, huh? Oh. All right, well, I suppose you can try, but wouldn't you rather sit down and understand why I killed your master? And then to go back to a part of the conversation in the chat, it's told in flashback. And so he's talking about like when he first started the path of kung fu and everything, and how the masters he learns from and the friends he makes along the way. And it was really, really cool. And then he, what's his name? Clevenger, the writer, for whatever reason, I'm not sure if he part lost interest in the project, part didn't have enough money to keep paying the artist, part got involved in other projects, just kind of petered out. But it was really cool. And I like that kind of like, you don't really see that in kung fu movies or stories,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, interesting. So, but yeah, no, like I do want to get back to GMing my Earth Dawn game, which takes place in the Earth Dawn game timeline, but takes place um, before our game. And I told my players like I will, like I have a definite endpoint for the game. And I told them like I will never like there's a time thing there, but I also told them it's like if you wish to continue playing these characters, there is still a lot to do in that universe during that time. And I told them like, but I will never have like, I'll never Deus Ex the mainline characters like they just show up and save your ass.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's the kind of thing where that's just like I'm like, yeah, you all are heroes of your own stories, and so I will treat you as such.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other games I have thought of are also all in the same universe, same setting. And I even had a game where it's because Earth on the magic cycles. It raises and lowers, and when it lowers all the way, you get now. And when it raises on the upslope and on the downslope, you get like in the lower ends you get like Shadowrun, and it goes through to more powerful to Earth Dawn, and then but at that peak is when you have the Scourge of like there's enough ambient magic for these extra dimensional beings called the Horrors to come in and wreak havoc and do their thing, feeding basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually had a game that I wanted to play on the downswing. I wanted to GM on the downswing, and it was going to be because Earth Dawn takes place in our world, ostensibly, it was going to coincide with the historical Bronze Age collapse, because no one knows what really caused it. And I'm like, well, what if magic finally got to the point where it was unreliable again? And then you're going to have all these great powers that exist trying to consolidate their power and influence through other means, or through means that are not just magical, like without the magical enhancements that they've grown accustomed to for the last millennia. Yeah, it's some really good stuff for that one too. So
that's actually a part of history that I'm not super familiar with.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah,
It's got some interesting stuff there.
Peeking at it right now.
But yeah, it's like the game that I have, like the game that I was running and wish to return to is one generation out of the cares, and then and that there's like a good like decade plus of adventuring to be done before our characters show up on the scene, and then the reforging of the nation of Carafad was going to be taking place about the same time. The agents of Thera was my Theron. Everyone's a Theron game. That was going to be taking place probably. I'm not sure, honestly. Like part of it. Like I think first coming out might be too soon. I think maybe things need to be a bit more established, and like maybe that would be contemporaneous with our Earth Dawn game, but it's going to be a completely different focus. And then I got the Bronze Age collapse game. Yeah, stuff.
So, did you get back to Legion, the TV show Legion?
I have not. I just haven't gotten back to it. Like I do want to get back to it. I'm actually one thing I did is I was watching the Sandman Blu-rays to make sure that they worked and that the audio is excellent. And I also liked watching some of the extras, which were really short, but it was like, it boils down to Sandman, the TV show, was made by Sandman fans for Sandman fans, which I can tell it's wonderful. And then I actually started watching the John Wick extras
Okay.
because I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I like after I'm done with that, I'm probably going to go back to Legion.
Now, mainly asking, you're far enough along that I'm sure you've seen the similarities to why I'm like, there's a horror in this show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it was so good. I'm like, so terrible. And I actually really like Legion because one of the reasons I really like it is because the shadow. Sorry, spoilers. Anyway,
Spoiler.
the main bad guy in Legion, because okay, most people don't know that Legion is a character in X-Men, or out of the X-Men series.
Mhm.
And so Legion, the show, is a take on that character. The main villain, as portrayed so far, is also a reoccurring villain from X-Men. And I really like the portrayal in the TV show of that villain, because in most of the other stuff, portraying in most of the comics that I've read portraying that villain, it's in the 80s and 90s. It was like, oh, it's that guy. Okay, cool, whatever. And this is like really doing a good job of it and doing a much better. Like, this is why this is bad, you know, showing that. I'm really liking it.
Yeah, it's just when I had seen it, I'm like, well, if anybody ever wants to know what a horror is, this is the show I'm going to direct them to, because this is how they would operate.
Mhm.
If you need an idea for your Earthdawn game or any horror game that you're running,
I was doing so I mean, so in our D&D game, you've basically, it's been revealed now that we have like some deific parentage. But we didn't know that for a long time.
that was a
And
big
so it's
secret.
like everyone's so, and even so it's like which deity is whose parent and stuff, and so that influences them and everything. And one of the things that I remember that was really cool from the Earth Dawn game was that Dan said every character has a destiny. And sometimes that destiny is what you are, sometimes what you're going to do, ba, 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 ba. And so I kind of took a page out of those books, or out of that milieu. And in my Earth Dawn game, I had everybody's got something going on. Since no one's like here, like listening, and I don't think they're
Yeah.
gonna watch our old shit. Like I was figuring out what to do, and I was still kind of like, so like Kevin's character obviously wanted to kind of regain his honor, but I also think that he was like trying, like he wanted to at some point start a family. He was playing like this troll and like a disgraced troll, but the way that he was acting was very much like, not like, on the one hand he was like, oh, I'm terrible and disgraced. On the other hand, he's like, no, this is what we have to do in order to make this happen. And da da. I'm like, okay, so there's some conflict here. I like that. June's character, I was like, she's like, I want to find my brother. Her brother left like a couple years before she started adventuring, and so she went on an adventure to go find her brother. And I was going to make her brother a quester of the mad passion of deceit.
Oh wow.
Um, and like I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do with it, but I was like, that's where he's at now, and that's why she's having so much trouble finding him, because just misdirection everywhere, and like she'd be asking and getting good rolls. I'm like, well, this person is saying that they met somebody kind of like that over here, and like just seeding that, it's like, but at the same time you're getting reports he was over at this other place, that kind of thing. Mariah's character survived their care being breached, and they were a troubadour then, and none of their troubadour abilities worked against the horror, and so they kind of tossed away that power and became a horror stalker instead. And with Mariah, I was like, a couple times, it's like a clutch moment, and they just barely miss, and I just passed her a note. I'm like, you think if you try really hard, you might be able to land this, or you might do enough damage. And like, yes, no, and she'd pass back yes, and I'm like, and I'd roll the horror's karma step or karma dice, like, you make it. And I was gonna save up like maybe a dozen of those before I finally, because her ultimate goal was to find that horror and destroy it, and be like, yes, yes. let me see. Let's see. I'm not sure what I had for honest character. I hadn't had a special thing yet.
James and Guy.
And James was not in the game,
Okay.
and Guy was in the game, but he left. Their child was much younger then, and so having their kid sit around and be around the game was not very entertaining for them or
Right,
us.
which would end up being distracting.
Yeah, and so Guy kind of left. Yeah, so
Cool.
yeah, like those are the kind of things I was like, yes, what can I do? What can I do with
Mhm.
these things that they've given me? So yeah.
Yeah, the biggest secret, of course, was being you guys figuring out who your parents were. And
Hmm.
so that was the powers developing slowly over time to first be like, we're not like normal people. We seem to break the rules somehow.
Hmm. And I remember part of that was also like just role playing when my mainline character was out of the game for a while due to storyline, and you're like, well, we're still going to play for a few sessions. Do you have another character in mind? I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. And that character having conversations with like the other characters, like, you've been doing this for 2 years.
That's it.
like I've been doing this for like almost 10. you know. Um,
And I'm not slow.
yeah, like I'm out doing stuff. I'm not just like, okay, time to take a couple years off and go to Waikiki.
my gap year as an adventurer.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a year off and go to Europe,
That's right.
backpack around.
I don't need a level.
Yeah, it's leveling.
Uh,
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, and that character actually had like reasons for adventuring, and
mhm.
so he was definitely adventuring.
Yep.
And it's like, what?
Uh,
I actually really like that character. I think he's a lot of fun,
mhm.
just because he is. That character's name, he's based off of Oswald from Odin Sphere. So he is, and he's a warlock he's a hexblade warlock, and he's Bishi, but he's got like an incredibly deep voice, and because of his warlock abilities, like that's one of the things about him. And then like his eyes glow, and he's very charismatic, but he's just kind of off-putting because of like all the stuff going around with him. But I took like folk hero as his background and stuff. So, and like his skills are like he was like a kitchen boy, and he was like apprenticed to like a cook and baker and stuff or something, and then like some orcs and hobgoblins and stuff invaded, and they were like killing everybody he knows, and he's like, I need power to stop. And like the Raven Queen's like, okay. Do your thing, buddy. And yeah, so that's he's.
Nice. I'm wondering how many people watching this are Googling Bishi.
Oh, but yeah, and like
Uh,
I also kind of like, because in the game he like his face is flawless, but like whenever you see him like they never show him naked or anything, but whenever you see him like out of his armor, and of course his shirt's open and everything, he's always got bandages and scars and stuff. It's like everything else shows the shit he's been through.
yeah.
And
It's not in the moneymaker.
yep. And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, he's a neat character, and certainly opportunities for him to come back at some point,
Hmm.
depending on how things play out. Since you've some of you have ran into the Raven Queen twice now.
Hmm. And it's the kind of thing that he's a character I can take to almost any other Forgotten Realms game. He
Mhm.
is, he's just a regular old nothing special, quote unquote, going on character. No rule bends or breaks. There's like one rule bend I would request for him, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah. So I've
Um,
got before we wrap up,
oh
I
shoot.
do have a little bit of news. After years and years of being out of the game, I'm back into the improv game.
Yeah,
Uh,
buddy.
Yep, I went to an audition and made it in. Brand new group that's forming. First show is going to be the last Sunday of February, and from what it
Mm.
sounds like, all of our shows are going to be the last Sunday of whatever the month is. And it's 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock showtime on Sundays. $10 entrance. It's at the Wheat Ridge Theater Company, which is at 38th 38th Avenue, kind of in between Sheridan and Wadsworth type area.
Okay.
We're so new that the group doesn't even have a name yet. We're supposed
Oh
to come up
my.
with a name. And it's there's the though I've only performed with one other person in this group before, so everybody's all new performers. And so far from our one rehearsal we've had, I don't know if I would advise coming to the first show.
Fair.
But also I'm supposed to be promoting the show, so I
Right.
kind of should, but
Okay.
I don't know, since it's not my group as far as, and I'm not the head leader of it, which I've led most of the improv groups I've been in. I'm trying not to jump in and teach too much, because I
Right.
don't want the person who's the group that auditioned everybody. They're technically the leader, and until they, as leader, ask me or tell me to get in there and start teaching, I don't want to step on those toes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you. Maybe you'll be in town sometime, Brent, when we found our footing and we work as a group, and it's not just me being funny.
Mm-hmm.
No, I shouldn't say that. They have. There's definitely talented people in the group. There's just some basic improv stuff I feel like needs to be taught. Um, you can only get so far on dick jokes, is what I'm saying. You need more tools in your toolbox than that.
Right. See, that just reminds me, and of course, it wasn't the entire bit or his entire set, but like Bill Hicks has a really good set about dick jokes, or has a really good bit about dick jokes, where he's talking about, he's like, honey, what's this guy talking about politics and shit for? Doesn't he know in America? Doesn't he realize that we can only deal with our pent up sexual frustration through the medium of dick jokes?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, don't worry, buddy. I know where I am. It's like, just keep hanging with me, okay? We're like, pretty soon we're all gonna sit there and jump off of this stage and pull our chutes to Dick Joke Island. All right.
Nice.
So it just goes on for like a couple minutes, and then no more dick jokes for the rest of the entire set.
Nice. Gotcha.
Yep. It's so good.
Well, thank you, Bob and Brent, for joining us.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I'll see if I can make it. You said 8 to 9.
8 to 9 February. So
Okay.
we're like the entire month and a half we're rehearsing, and the first show's supposed to be then. I'll get more word out. I just haven't been super advertising it because we don't have a name yet.
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'll mention more throughout the shows too.
Cool. Right on.
But yeah, and I'm guessing Guy will be back next Monday for our show. And those of you who are following us on Facebook, if you think of any topics you'd like for us to cover, just message us at Geek Tank, and we'll ignore them, but or maybe not. Who knows?
Well, I'm not on Facebook, so that's all.
Yeah, I have to pass it on to you, and yeah, we'll vet it through you. All right, but we should wrap up since we want to not keep this thing going all night.
Yep.
All right. So until next time, everybody, I've been Troy.
And I've been Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.